Hello everybody and welcome back to another Oscar prediction video where today I will be taking a look at the category of Best Animated Feature Film. Now, first and foremost, I want to say this year has been pretty incredible for animation. I think all five movies in this lineup are incredible. I don't think any of them would be a bad winner. But what's interesting is that this is actually the first year since 2012 where no animated film is nominated outside of the animated feature film category. Like, not nominated for song, score, or anything like that, which in theory would make this category a little bit trickier, would make it more of a level playing field between the contenders. However, I don't think that that's the case. And I actually specifically waited long enough to see if there was going to be an upset from Annie or PGA. However, everything seems to have fallen into place pretty nicely, so I do think that I know what the winner is going to be. But I do want to take a second to talk about how great all the nominees are, because they are really incredible films. Fifth most likely to win is The Sea Beast. So this movie, I'm really, really happy that this got the nomination. I called it, as I talked about in my nomination predictions. This is one that was on Netflix earlier in the year and kind of got forgotten about. It just got the one Annie nomination, but luckily it stuck it out in the end and got this nomination. And I think it's a really great film, and there's a lot of people who are passionate about it. There's also others who have issues with it, say that it's kind of ripping off How to Train Your Dragon, which it definitely takes some elements, but I think it's enough of its own thing, and it has some really spectacular animation and fight choreography and cinematography. There's a reason I chose the shot that I did. Uh, it really is a great film. However, I think it's the least likely to win simply because it was the surprise nomination, and the other four films in this category showed up everywhere, got every major precursor. And I think those four all have a certain amount of passion behind them that The Sea Beast really doesn't have. Even though I think it's a great film, I think a lot of people would rank it fifth amongst the nominees, which is not fair, but yeah, I think the other four all make really good cases for themselves, and the only way Sea Beast could win is in an Ex Machina style situation where the other four are all splitting votes. But I don't think that's going to happen because this is a Netflix movie, and Netflix also has one of the other contenders in the race. So I'm very glad that this is nominated, but it's not going to win. Fourth most likely to win is Turning Red. So this movie is a really, really great movie, and it came out early in the year, like over a year ago at this stage. And the thing is, it's the only Disney contender in the race because both Lightyear and Strange World were considered disappointments, and so this movie that was initially dumped on Disney Plus at the beginning of the year, that Disney had very little faith in, has become their main film this year. And logic would say to never count out Disney. And I have noticed that they've started to do a lot of campaigning in the lead up to the awards. After the nominations, they really were campaigning for this. So Disney's not sitting this one out, which did make me question for a while if this could pull off an upset. However, it really doesn't have much. I mean, it won the Chicago Film Critics, no, Boston Society of Film Critics. I got that mixed up. It won at Boston, but it didn't win a single Annie Award. And I think that's a sign of weakness. Clearly, this is a liked film, but it's a film that came out so early in the year. And if I'm being perfectly honest, this might be my personal favorite of the nominees. However, I don't want it to win for the sole reason that Disney and Pixar win every single year, and this year is a golden opportunity to give it to something else. So, great movie. See it if you haven't, but I think people are tired of giving it to Disney and Pixar, and this one doesn't have quite the passion that it would need to carry it over the finish line. Great movie, though. third most likely to win is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So, wow. Let me tell you, this movie really took people by surprise because I was certainly skeptical when they announced that they were making a Puss in Boots 2 11 years after the first film, which was just okay. I was not expecting this movie to be as good as it is, and I don't think anybody was. And because there was that surprise factor of everyone going, wow, it's so much better than you think it's going to be, and because it was surprisingly a very big box office contender. It had really good legs at the box office, which none of the other nominees can really claim. I did wonder for a while if this movie could be like the big shocker on Oscar night. And the reason why I don't think it's going to happen is because it hasn't been able to capitalize on the online popularity with any wins anywhere. It doesn't have any critics awards. It won 2 awards at Annie's for, I think, storyboarding and editing. But you would think that if anyone would give this Best Animated Feature, it would be the Annies because they really love DreamWorks, or maybe PGA because they love movies that succeed at the box office. But it didn't win anywhere. That's why I was waiting so long, because I was thinking maybe it was going to win something. Because it is really, really popular online. And yet, I don't know. I can't give like a good enough reason other than it hasn't won anywhere. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. I think people could vote for it because I have seen so much passion, but maybe that passion really is just online. So, great movie. It's exciting that DreamWorks is back in the game with one of their best movies in years, but I don't think it has a very realistic chances of winning, even though it is great. Second most likely to win is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I was actually very, very skeptical about even predicting this to be nominated. Not because of the film's quality, but because there is so much live action in it. But somehow it got the nomination. And I thought for a while that if it did get the nomination, then it would be the biggest competition for the win. It actually does have a significant amount of precursor wins, including a New York Film Critics Circle and NBR, and it won the Annie Award for Best Independent Animated Feature, so clearly this is a very well-liked film. However, I don't see it fully going all the way, but I do. It's tricky because the fact that it's debatably an animated film, I mean, there's probably more live action in this movie than there is in Avatar: The Way of Water. I thought that would hold it back from getting the nomination, but it got the nomination, and now I think people are going to be judging the films as a film. So if there is a spoiler, if there is an upset, I would predict it would be Marcel, just because that one has so much attention and people are like, oh, it's so sweet, it's so cute. It's the kind of thing that older Academy voters can really go for. And yet, I don't think it's going to happen. Because if you look at the precursors, there is one clear winner in this category. And that film is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. There was a time where this movie was legitimately in the conversation to receive a Best Picture nomination. When this film had its festival premiere, the reviews were so enthusiastic. The fact that Del Toro just got a Best Picture nomination last year for Nightmare Alley, it seemed really, really possible, and people were really banging the drum, and I actually fell for it. I thought it could happen. And then when it failed to get on at NBR or AFI, I thought, okay, this is not going to happen, but it's still going to do well overall. I thought for sure it was going to get nominated for score and song, and it seemed possible to get in for screenplay or even production design. And so the fact that it only got the one nomination for animated feature was legitimately shocking. And that was what made me second guess if it could even win that category. And I was really looking at every other contender being like, ooh, maybe this movie's weaker than we thought it was. However, when you just look at the precursors, not only does it have a bunch of precursor nominations in other categories like score and song, but it's won Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, PGA, BAFTA, and now Annie. And it would be foolish to bet against a film that had won all that. It's clearly a very beloved film, although not quite beloved enough to get more than the animated feature nomination, it would seem. And Del Toro is a very well respected person, and all of his speeches have been great, and he continuously is banging the drum that animation is not a genre for kids, it is an art form for everyone. And that's what I believe very firmly to be true. It is a shame that this movie couldn't do more than what it did, but at this point, it's unwise to bet against it. Even though it underperformed with nominations, it's done very, very well at the precursors, and I think Marcel the Shell is number 2. If there is a big surprise, expect it to be that. But as of right now, I'm going to go with the safe choice. I'm going to predict that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio will win the Oscar. So, thank you very much for watching, and be sure to tune in next time where I will be taking a look at the category of Best Director. See you then.